Hello and welcome to the Ilene Silverman Show. I'm your host Ilene, and on this week's program, our guests discuss the upcoming Holocaust commemoration Sunday, April 12th, with families sharing stories of Holocaust survivors. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. I'm delighted to introduce my guest, Abe Goldman, chair of the Yom Hashoah Committee, son of Holocaust survivors, and a retired UF professor, and also my good friend. And Abe, it's wonderful to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you very much for having me and our other guests here today to
Certainly.
talk about this.
Well, it's very
event.
special. It's very special to me, and you've been on the show before. But every year, as Yom HaShoah approaches, there's this good opportunity for explanation, reflection, and understanding the importance. So, start us off by explaining Yom HaShoah.
Okay. Well, Yom HaShoah it's a Hebrew term. Yom means day, and Hashoah refers to the Holocaust. The Hebrew name for the Holocaust is the Shoah. And of course the Holocaust involved the systematic murder of over 6 million Jews throughout Europe, both Western and Eastern Europe, but particularly Eastern Europe, because that's where the largest Jewish populations were at that time. But also well over 5 million other people. Exactly. Which included the attempted extermination of the Roma, of mass murders of political opponents, particularly socialists and communists in various parts of Germany and other parts of Europe, Russian prisoners and other prisoners of war. And also a systematic attempt to exterminate the LGBTQ community, gay people throughout Germany and the rest of Europe. Right. So it was. So
we're talking about a lot, to take in, and the further we, go in years from World War II. The more important it is to maintain this understanding.
Yes, and it has been, it was established actually, this particular holiday, or this, really it's a commemoration of the mass murders of the period of the Holocaust. It was established in 1951 and has been commemorated. And it's scheduled based on the lunar Hebrew calendar, similar to the Muslim calendar, which is also a lunar calendar. So the dates of important events on our own Gregorian calendar shift over the years. So every year it's a little bit different. But in terms of the Hebrew calendar, it's scheduled for roughly 1 week after Passover.
I see. That is how we have April 12th as our day.
Yes, and well, the actual Yom HaShoah this year is April 13th and 14th.
Okay.
So it's Monday night and Tuesday, but our commemoration event generally has taken place on Sunday.
Exactly, to make it more comfortable for the community to attend, because this is open to all the community.
Yes, this is not just a Jewish event. This is really very much open to community members of all backgrounds.
Exactly. And so since we know it will be Sunday, April 12th, 3 to 5 p.m. at our congregation B'nai Israel. I say our because we are members. I've grown up in that synagogue here in my community. Tell us more about what will happen on that day.
Well, I'll just mention, first of all, this is the 29th time here in Gainesville that we've had a formal Yom
Wow,
HaShoah
hadn't even
commemorative
realized.
event. We, in the early years, until fairly recently, we tried to have a Holocaust survivor be the main speaker. And it's
Exactly.
framed with other prayers and statements of remembrance. But of course now there are very few Holocaust survivors themselves who still survive. So this year, because beyond the survivors themselves, we have children of survivors, grandchildren of survivors,
And great-grandchildren.
and great-grandchildren. And this year we decided we would call on our own resources in that regard, so that we have two people who are children, one son of survivors, that's myself, and a daughter of survivors, that's Helen Frankel. And then we have a UF student who is the granddaughter of survivors.
Right.
And another UF student who is the great-grandson of survivors. And so the four of us, together with the coordinator, the social studies coordinator for Alachua County Schools, who, in addition to other topics, coordinates Holocaust education in Alachua County Schools. And I think we'll talk a little bit about that a bit later.
He will be joining us.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a quick break, but thank you for so much information and explanation.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about Yom HaShoah, and I'm delighted to introduce my guest, Helen Frankel, member of the Planning Committee and daughter of Holocaust survivors. And Helen, it's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
It's
great being here.
Thank you. When you moved here several years ago, we had a conversation about your involvement in Holocaust education and, of course, your parents being both Holocaust survivors, and you're going to be part of the Yom HaShoah Remembrance program that Abe has talked about. But tell me more about your parents and your family. Share with us some of those important thoughts.
Okay. Both of my parents were from Poland, even though they lived in totally different areas. I didn't really know growing up.
That they were Holocaust survivors?
Yeah, I knew that they lost their family during the war, but I didn't know the exact details. And as I got older, I figured it out. And they didn't really want to talk about it when we were younger. And yeah, my father was in the Lodz ghetto and then Auschwitz.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And my mother was in her town's ghetto. And when they were liquidating it, she escaped and went into the forests and lived there for over a year, almost a year and a half.
I would think it would be hard for you to even accept that these were stories. I mean, these were your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know they've passed away now, and their memory is always in your heart. But it's just, how could you take all that in? How did you define that as when you discovered their story, their background, and how did that affect you? I mean, this is a lot to take in.
As a child, it is. And I always knew there was something different. Mm-hmm. Their accent, the way they dressed, They
weren't quite Americanized.
They were not Americanized at that point. Later they became more Americanized. So every child wants to fit in.
Oh, of course, yes.
So I felt that, and they had heavy accents, and I just felt like they were always different when I went to somebody else's home.
You were the one that had to explain to them what was going on.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So But as I got older and I really understood what they went through, I think I did understand that, so I felt very protective of them and wanted to make them proud, of course.
Yes.
But once I really understood the story, I wanted to be involved and start telling their story.
Which you've done. Yes.
Yes, and
And now, yes, go on.
especially through Holocaust education.
Exactly.
Using their story.
As a way to explain. So for a number of years in South Florida, you have been involved, but then you come here to Gainesville and immediately get involved in our Alachua County schools.
Yes, when I came here, I knew it was something I wanted to continue. And I connected with Dr. John Rem, and we put a program together, and through Zoom did over 25 schools,
Right.
and continue to
do so
go
now.
into the schools. Yeah.
Well, you're definitely continuing their legacy by telling their stories. And I know you're putting together a book about them, which I feel is very special. I'll look forward to knowing more about that and to hearing more about your story, Helen, at the Yom Hashoah program on April 12th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back discussing Yom Hashoah, and I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Mason Steinberg, great-grandson of Holocaust survivor and a panelist on the Yom Hashoah program. And Mason, also a member of this Gainesville community, like myself, born and raised here. I've known your family many years, but now suddenly I'm getting to know you. And I appreciate that you're here to talk about your great-grandfather and your family and be a part of this. And so share with us a little about your great-grandfather, just to bring the framework in for us.
My great-grandfather, he, I didn't really get to know him for a lot of my childhood. He died when I was fairly young. However, I do have a few key memories with him that I will never forget. My favorite of which was going to Applebee's with him and seeing the oldest man I've ever seen gorge down some all-you-can-eat Applebee's boneless ribs. And
That is good spirit.
oh yeah, he was always. My great-grandparents were always in good spirits. They always, shine positivity, and it really, shows how even through adversities that I can't even comprehend.
Me neither.
They still came out happy.
And as such a little boy, they couldn't share that with you, but they did with your parents.
Right.
And this beautiful book.
Yes.
Just kind of introduce the book for us too, please.
So written by his name was Oscar Deutsch. I called him Opa. He wrote this book. It was written down by my mom while he would narrate it, and it's a short form story of him getting to America and when the war started. It has a lot of ups and downs, which was, his key philosophy was never give up. Always fight like everything depends on it, because
Which it did.
It did. I wouldn't be here if,
No.
he tried escaping. He he wasn't successful every time, but because he didn't give up, I now have a full life, and so many other people do. too.
That's the legacy, and yet it must have had a great effect on you to learn a little bit of this and realize about your great-grandfather and what this meant.
Yes, because I, as someone who is many generations down from when this had happened, I can't even wrap my full head around it.
That's what I was saying to Helen, and yes,
Yeah.
it's that like you described your great-grandfather, people could not only survive but thrive.
Right.
But that is one reason, too, that you feel so dedicated to knowing that the Holocaust will be taught in our Alachua County schools and the importance of that education. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so, I've had I've seen anti-Semitism firsthand in our public schools. I've had a kid raise his hand and say Heil Hitler to me. I've had someone come up to me at the lunch table, call me a dirty Jew. You know, and I can't help but not blame the kid for it, because I hadn't remember learning anything in my public school about that, you know, which is required by Florida statute.
Right.
And I think the most effective way, in my opinion, to get these younger generations to really know what's going on is firsthand accounts. Even if this book was shared amongst the classroom, it would change it would change some
The
people's
perception
minds.
with the photographs, the first-hand story, it makes it real.
Yes, and it, you know, because reading something in a textbook, seeing a lot of numbers, seeing, busted out photos, it doesn't have the same effect as someone's words, you know,
Right.
and someone's actual emotion. He put emotion when he wrote this, and it's very evident.
Something to be very proud of.
Oh yeah.
Well, several years ago, now you're a UF student, but several years ago when you were in middle school, actually you went before the Alachua County School Board and you expressed the same thoughts you just told us about the bullying, about the anti-Semitism, and it seemed it was making changes.
Yes.
I mean, it was a very brave thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. We had a very large turnout. It was one of the big school board meetings, and a lot of Jews across the city came together, and
Yes.
everyone shared their own stories, because, again, it wasn't an isolated incident. It was happening. I can't say for certain that it's not right now.
I know.
And as much as I...
As much as we would like.
Of
Yes,
course.
we don't know. And we're going to take another quick break. Thank you, Mason, very much.
Thank you for having me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about Yom Hashoah with Abe Goldman. And Abe, you told us so much about the Yom Hashoah, the program coming up, and you will be part of the panel discussion sharing your stories of your parents as son of Holocaust survivors. So take a little time and share a bit of their story with us now.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you very much for hosting
Certainly.
us for this. Well, I was amazed frequently when I saw what my parents' families were like before and after the war. First of all, one of the most amazing things is how large their families were. My father's family had 9 kids.
Okay,
and then
that's large, yeah.
2 parents. There were 4 girls and 5 boys. My mother's family was slightly smaller. They only had 10. I mean, the 2 parents and 8 kids. And the other amazing thing, and this was truly amazing, is that a amazingly large proportion of them survived.
Oh my goodness.
And they each
That
did
is
it
amazing.
in different ways. I mean, different things happened to allow them to survive. And I don't think we have time to go into some
No.
of those factors now, but we will talk about that at our Yom HaShoah
Right.
commemoration, because there were several factors in common among the family members from my families who survived. And the third amazing thing was that my father and mother were from the same small town in an industrial area of southwest Poland, which was immediately occupied by the Nazis and actually turned into an integral part, from the Nazi point of view, of Germany, because
Wow,
it had been part of Prussia in the 18th century, and so
Okay, there's
the
the
Nazis
history.
said, "This is ours again."
I see. We're reclaiming it.
And they, after having other entanglements, my parents married shortly after the Nazis occupied
Okay.
their area,
That is a true love story.
and they survived, and they both survived. And part of what happened, I mean, partly, of course, their connection with each other helped them
Was
survive,
a strong element.
but
of that.
also very tangibly, my mother in her in what she was assigned to do in the camp that she ended up in. She helped my father's name get moved from a list for extermination
Oh my gosh.
to a
Abe.
list for continued labor.
Right.
Because these were, in this case, these were labor camps. Although I
Essentially
have other,
saving his life.
and absolutely, and that's exactly what happened. She and a couple of her friends were able to do that miraculously.
Oh,
So I will, if we have time during our Yom HaShoah, I will.
you will share that.
Share a
Well,
little bit more about that.
and tell us one more time when the Yom HaShoah commemoration will be. Remind us.
Okay. This will be on Sunday, April 12th, from 3 to 5 p.m. at Congregation B'nai Israel, which is on 16th Boulevard.
Right.
16th Avenue, sorry.
Right.
3830 16th Avenue, I think is the address.
And we'll be providing that.
And
info.
we hope people will come.
It is open to the
Yes,
community.
It absolutely
yes.
is,
A
and we
beautiful
very
service.
strongly welcome people.
As we had said, Helen and Mason, you know, first-hand accounts as you, son, daughter, great-granddaughter, great-grandson, granddaughter, this is the way to teach the Holocaust. So coming to this Yom HaShoah commemoration is a strong element in getting the word out and helping people understand why we need to understand this so history never repeats itself.
Yes.
And thank you, Abe, and my thanks to
Thank
Mason
you.
and to Helen.
Yes.
Very meaningful.
Yes.
I hope I will see you there at Yom HaShoah commemoration April 12th. So glad you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next time.